Welcome to the Coin Club, a podcast brought to you by the Seven House Coins, Currency, Bullion, where we discuss everything related to numismatics. I'm glad to have you along with me for my journey and excited to share with you the very best of numismatics. Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 29 of the Coin Club podcast. I'm very glad to have you back here, and I couldn't think of anything else I'd want to be doing than sharing with you all of the great things going on in the coin world at the moment. Obviously, I had the opportunity to head on down to the Baltimore, Maryland Whitman show, their 50th anniversary show to be exact. It was a great show. I usually just walk around and peruse the hundreds of dealers that are set up to see if anyone has anything remotely interesting to me. I look for a couple particular things, and not everyone has them. I'm interested in Argentina coins, Bank of America tokens, rolls of originally wrapped bank coins with the bank names on them, PCGS graded Susan B. Anthony dollars, and anything else that catches my eye, really. A lot of show participants just like to go and browse, and when a dealer tries to start up a conversation with them to find out what they're looking for, they give them some off-the-wall thing that the majority of dealers wouldn't carry in hopes that they say no and don't have to continue the conversation. They move right on to the next table. Kind of like when you go to a car dealership. Oh no, just looking, thank you. Well, those are the things that I genuinely look for, and most people don't carry them. I'm not trying to put off the dealer so I can move on to the next table. I truly love the conversation, and when you take the time to interact, this is when you get the most out of the hobby. Quite honestly, this show was one of the better ones I went to. I was able to sit down and hunt through a number of dealers' offerings, and it was a great day for sure. I always make it a point to attend this one as sort of a birthday gift for myself. A little early, but that's what it was. I was able to pick up a bunch of sweet tokens, some older European coins, and I even found an Argentine era coin that is a rotated die strike. It's extremely difficult to find Argentine era coins when going to any show. Any way you look at it, it was a great show, and I even got a chance to meet a few of you while I was there. Thanks for saying hi, and I'm quite honored that you recognized me out of the crowd. I didn't even have any Coin Club podcast merch on. I was incognito this time. I guess when you see my mug online, it's hard not to pick me out of a crowd. Just remember, folks, this is the time of year for coins and shows and grabbing what you need because the scene is hot right now. We're quickly heading into the holidays, and regardless if it's an addition to your collection or a gift for someone you know and love, get out there and start looking right now. The deals are out there to be had. Even with prices going up, they're out there. A big shout out to all the vets out there. Couldn't get the episode out before November 11th. However, know that the Coin Club podcast always thanks you for your service to this country. Okay, let's get on with it. In this episode of the podcast, you're going to get a healthy dose of the news. We're going to give you roll hunting junkies a few more things to be on the lookout for. The World Coin Spotlight, which I made a goof last time and mentioned a country we've already done, and for the finale, we're going to look into a coin that is associated with the holiday that most Americans will be celebrating this month, Thanksgiving. You might already know what it is, but if you don't, ponder the thought as we head into this episode. Thanks again, folks, for listening in, and now, let's get on with the show. In the world of news. Not really a headline here, folks, but you know I like to give you all the little tidbits of good info that you need in our hobby. And here's one of them. If you're not a member of the American Numismatic Association, well, you need to be. 27,000 collectors strong. This is an organization that gives you an immeasurable amount of benefits as well as a 12-issue subscription to the Numismatist. They have educational programs, special events which also include free admission to the World's Fair of Money and the National Money Show, all kinds of great online offerings like podcasts, blogs, coin collecting tips, research tools, games, quizzes, you name it, they have it. Not only do you get all this, you will receive $15 off the first year of membership with NGC, NCS, and PMG. Their youth membership level starts at $16, and for us adults, it starts at $30. Come to think of it, why don't you get your favorite young numismatist a membership to this for the holidays? You can find all the membership info at www.info.money.org. Not much is going on at the U.S. Mint this month. They do have one offering for you that came out on November 14th. It was the 2022 American Innovation $1 coin reverse proof set. The cost is $28, and you get the Rhode Island, Vermont, Kentucky, and Tennessee coins in this set. If you're a true coin auction junkie, you had your eyes set on the November 13th auction at Great Collections. They had a coin that is highly sought after in the Aircoin community, and one of those coins that all you YouTubers tell you that you need to keep your eyes out for in pocket change. That was very sarcastic, folks, very sarcastic. The coin I'm talking about is the 1943 copper Lincoln cent. This is one of about only 24 known examples, so the bidding was fierce. It was expected to surpass the $200,000 mark as it was graded AU50 by PCGS with that ever-so-coveted CAC sticker on it. Well, the bidding actually rose to $298,125. With 138 bids, this coin blew it out of the ballpark. Untouchable for me for sure, but I'm sure that those that were bidding were super excited as 138 bidders. That's crazy. Yes, we don't only cover coins here in the podcast, folks. We also cover paper money because a lot of you collect that as well. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing has up on their website that the currency we all know and love is scheduled to go through a redesign. Yep. They're adding some very, very advanced security features to keep us on the world stage with all those polymer notes that, well, quite frankly, are miles ahead of us. It's not going to roll out with lightning speed, that's for sure. The first design will be in 2026, starting with the $10 bill, and it will finish up in 2034 with the $100 bill. While we're at it, I checked out the printing figures report just to see how many notes they've been cranking out. Believe it or not, the latest figure on their website is only accessible to June 2022. The highest printing run was the 2017 GA Series $20 bill with the G Bank letter on it, suffix F, and they rolled out a whopping 76,800,000 of those. The lowest was the Star Note, and they came in at 3,200,000. The New York International Numismatic Convention will hold their 51st annual show at the Intercontinental New York Barclay Hotel from January 13th to the 15th. Check their website for show hours and more details. www.nyinc.info. As we near the end of 2022, the nominating committee for the Cody Awards, that's the Coin of the Year Awards for those of you who are not in the loop, well, they have been hard at it. Their award ceremony will take place in early 2023. However, the work behind getting to that point is just now taking place. With approximately 2,300 different coins produced around the world, they must narrow those down to 100 nominees. If you remember, it's 10 coins in 10 separate categories. A lot of work ahead of them, and they've already begun the process. I can't wait to see the results because there are a few of the top 100 that I've put on my want list from the past. Some really gorgeous specimens come out of this competition. If you're a real bullion junkie, you're going to want to head on over to AppMex. They have a Black Friday deal out already. They have the first ever precious metals industry credit card from Visa. If you have it and use it to purchase on Black Friday, you'll get 5% cash back on all your purchases from then until Cyber Monday on their website. Not being sponsored by Amex or the credit card, folks. Just letting you know what's out there. Having the card also increases you to their elite status in the Amex Club and gives you special access to a flash sale happening on November 23rd. If you're listening to the show, I know you're a fan of a good story. Well, my friends over at Numismatic News have a great article out there that you'll want to check out. Unique New Jersey $3 banknote surfaces from fabled SS Central America sunken treasure. I'm not going to get into all the details here, but I will tell you, even if you don't like to read, you need to check out the article for the pictures. I truly can't believe that a banknote survived that long at the bottom of the sink. They must have had it in a Ziploc baggie or something. Not quite, but the story and the photos will surprise you. Okay, we're back at it for all you roll hunting junkies out there. We're going to let a few go from the 80s for this podcast. Something that you can actually still find in your change. Those years are appearing less and less, but they're still around and you should absolutely know what to be on the hunt for. Number one on this list today is the 1980 double die obverse Lincoln cent. Oh, by the way, it's an all Lincoln spot this time. Check out the date and Liberty on this one. There is strong doubling that will appear, and it is pretty obvious. Number two will be the 1982 Lincoln cent copper large date coin. This has a double die obverse as well. It will be right on the In God We Trust. I would go as far to say that the doubling can be seen on the part with God without magnification. Well, maybe for you younger folks out there anyways. Number three is the ever so famous 1983 Lincoln cent. Now wait a minute. It's not double die obverse you're thinking of. Oh no. This one will have an obverse die counterclash on it. You'll see the clash right above the 1 and the 9 in the date. Wait one more second. That's not it. Most of these examples will have something you'll need to turn that bad boy over to look on the reverse for. An enormous cud that goes right from the rim and covers most of the 1 cent wording on the reverse. Now this one would be a beauty to find for sure. Number four is a fan favorite, and I cannot say I've ever found one, but it's in the old memory bank to be on the lookout for. The 1984 Lincoln cent double die obverse. No need to check anything but the ear on this one. If you see two lobes, one sticking out to the southwest of the primary one, you've got yourself a nice piece for your collection. Lastly, at number 5, we're going to cut it off with a repunched mint mark. This can be found on the Denver minted 1987 Lincoln cent. The secondary D is north of the primary D. Hope that gave you a couple more coins to be on the lookout for. Remember, if you've ever found any of these in change, let me know and send me some photos. I'll put them up on my Instagram and Facebook pages. I always love to get listener photos of their finds and share them all with you. Happy hunting, friends. All right, all you fans of the World Coin Spotlight, if you're paying attention, in the last episode, I said I wasn't sure what direction we should head. I mentioned we might head on over to Bolivia, and yes, you called me on it. Some of you sent me a message and said, Tone, we've already went to Bolivia, and you would be absolutely correct. So from Chile, we're heading east to another landlocked country in South America, bordered by 3 other countries to be exact, Bolivia, Argentina, and Brazil. This little South American gem is home to around 7.5 million people. I'll just spit it out so you can enjoy some of the other facts about the country, and you'll know who I'm talking about. Paraguay. Inhabited as far back as memory recalls, the indigenous Guarani people laid claim to the land. They were colonized by the Spanish people in 1516, and they were overthrown by the local Spanish population on May 14, 1811. After the overthrow of the Spanish rule, a dictator came into power, José Gaspar Rodriguez de Francia. He ruled from 1814 until 1840 when he died. The Lopez family, a family of military officers, was next to rule the country in 1841. During this term of rule, many modern efforts took place to put Paraguay on the map. Telegraph and railroad lines were installed, which brought the steel industry to life and spurred growth all over the nation. They were considered the most advanced republic in South America. A group of rebellious Uruguayan Colorados partnered with Brazil and Argentina in 1864 to overthrow the government. They were invaded by the respective armies and the Paraguayan War started. It lasted from 1864 to 1870, and in the end, they lost, surrendering control to the country, paying an enormous war debt to Brazil and Argentina, and losing over 30% of the land they called home. In 1904, there was another revolution to throw out the Colorados, and a host of unstable governments took control from that point on. They continued to have strife in their country up until 1989, when the military overthrew their leader, Alfredo Stroessner. Well, folks, their money has a story past to it as well. The very first coins issued by Paraguay come out in the year 1867. It was a 4-peso gold coin. Bronze coins followed suit shortly thereafter in 1870 with a 1, 2, and 4 centésimos. 1889 saw the introduction of silver peso as well. In 1900, a cupro nickel planchet sported the 5, 10, and 20 centavos, and in 1925, a 50 centavos. 1 and 2 peso coins were also introduced for that year. 1938 saw the introduction of the aluminum coins, and today the guarani is the national currency of Paraguay. It is divided into 100 centimos. In the year 1943, they passed a law introducing the guarani, which replaced their future fuerte. The first coin rolled into circulation in 1944. They were aluminum bronze coins in 1, 5, 10, 25, and 50 cent denominations. These were round coins. They didn't quite have a 10-year run until the shape of the coin was changed in 1953. They went from being round to being scallop-shaped with a design change. 1975 saw the change over to stainless steel coins, and lastly in 1990 the composition changed again to a brass-plated steel nickel. If you want to match up the U.S. dollar to the guarani, you're in for a treat here, folks. 1 U.S. dollar is equal to 0.00014 guarani. If you want to buy a Pepsi in Paraguay, it's going to cost you around 6,600 guaranis, or about 93 cents here in the States. The coin we're going to feature today, we're going to go way back to 1844. I was going to pick a modern one for this, but I just had to pick this one. I really want you to get online and check this one out. It is an 1844 1-cent coin. It's made on a copper planchet, weighs in at 10.89 grams, and is 27.5 millimeters round. On the obverse, you'll see a portrait of Lady Liberty with the date 1844 below it. 13 stars surrounding the rim, and the reverse has the value, cent, inscribed on it, and a wreath. It says, now wait, before I tell you what it says, I'm going to tell you who it was engraved by. The engraver was none other than Christian Gobrecht, our very own. On top of all this, the coin was minted in Philadelphia. Those of you who are large cent fans, I know you're scratching your head and you're saying, Tone, I think you're off your rocker here. This is a large cent, period. And you would be right. I left out one little design that makes this coin unique and a detail that cannot be left out. On the obverse of this coin, there is a counter stamp, or circular punch as they call it. It appears over the neck of Liberty, and it shows a seated lion figure below Liberty's cap on staff dividing the date, 1865. This is one of their 2 national coats of arms called Celo de Hacienda. These coins were called necessity coinage. They were used during the Paraguayan War of 1864 to 1870. Not just our country's coins were marked with this, they used many other countries' coins as well. Because of the war, they could not mint their own coins and had to venture to counterstamping other nations' currency. It was pretty brutal during this time, folks. Historians estimate that up to 70% of Paraguay's adult male population was killed in this war. I can't give you a price on this coin, however the Numista Rarity Index put this one at 100 on their scale. You can't get higher than that. I hope you enjoyed this coin on our World Coin Spotlight, and it is part of a Paraguay that you should really look into. Their numismatists know about this one, and they not only counterstamped whole coins from other countries, they cut coins into half and quarters and even counterstamped those. All right, everyone, we're going to bring the main event home to the United States this time for the holiday we're all anticipating. Loosen your belts, grab some antacids, head into the next room, and put your headphones on. Listen to the podcast so you don't have to hear Aunt Ethel talk about how dry the darn turkey was. Just tell her that's what the gravy's for. Let's kickstart this Thanksgiving holiday with a little coin-related history. Can you take a guess what road we're heading down? If you guessed the Pilgrim Tercentenary $half, you would be absolutely correct. If you didn't guess that, you're probably napping with all that dry turkey you ate, because out of all the numismatic history related to this special event, this would be the most popular coin that falls on the radar of collectors, especially commemorative $half collectors. This coin was actually struck in 2 years, 1920 and 1921, to mark the 300th anniversary of the arrival of the Pilgrims in North America. It is a 90% silver coin on a round planchet that... No, we're not going to cut this short. You all know you're going to get a story out of this, right? Of course you are. Our history here in the great old United States of America has taught us that the Pilgrims came to the United States to seek out a new life. One based on a Christian religion that focused on their religion and worldly things they deemed non-essential. A very religiously strict group of people. They wanted to separate themselves from the religion they were leaving, the Church of England. You thought that they went to the United States first, right? Not so. They actually left England and went to the Netherlands, all in the name of persecution. Regardless of your opinion, religion can be a very nasty thing. Especially back in the day where King James was persecuting the people who wanted to be separatists from the church. They felt this was a safe move for them. However, in the early part of the 1600s, the Dutch government thought it would be a good idea to align more with England, the country they left, to be free from their persecutions from the church. The Netherlands were not so friendly to the Pilgrims, as their work were limited to manual labor. Even though they may have been skilled, the workers' guilds would not accept them, and the adults felt that their children were losing their native language and their religious beliefs. One of the richer pilgrims in the group, Thomas Weston, loosened up his purse strings and decided it was time to move on. He, along with some other wealthier members of this group, financed what we know today as the expedition to North America. He actually sent a ship to the Netherlands to gather up all the pilgrims who were trying to make a living there and bring them back for the journey to their new home. He sent the ship Speedwell over there and brought them back so they could join the rest of the group, and the two ships would make the journey across the Atlantic. Easy. I know you're saying, Tone, you've already dipped into the eggnog a little too early. There was only one ship, the Mayflower. You're right. The intent was to have two ships head on over here, but the Speedwell, after bringing the pilgrims from the Netherlands, got the old once over, and they decided that she was not seaworthy, so the plan for a two-ship voyage was scrapped. This created an obvious problem: passengers from two ships onto one. Well, the passenger list was scrubbed, and part of the people from the Speedwell and part of the original list from the Mayflower were allowed to board, along with a few others that were hand-selected, and those, quote, lucky ones boarded the Mayflower in Plymouth, southwest England, on September 6, 1620. A total of 102 passengers and a ship's crew of 47. They set out for North America, and their first sight was on November 9th, 1620, that of Cape Cod, and they landed at what is now Provincetown, Massachusetts. It's been a while since I've cracked open the history books, and I've forgotten about this little tidbit. 2 days after landing, the men of the voyage got together and signed the Mayflower Compact. It's actually one of the foundation documents of American democracy. Anything coming back to you now? All signees agreed to submit themselves to the will of the majority. Their intentions were to head to Virginia, but they were woefully unprepared with provisions, so they chose to stay and establish the Plymouth colony. They also didn't plan for the harsh northern winter, so they were not only in a bind with not having enough supplies to head south, they were in for some harsh winter weather coming up. The winter took on an enormous toll on the settlers, and over half of them died before the warmer spring weather came. It was a harsh time in this area, as the Patuxet tribe of Native Americans had perished, all but one, in a disease outbreak. This man was known officially as Tisquantum, or Squanto. I probably said the first part wrong, but I know I got the last part right, Squanto. Squanto had learned English while he was in Spain and England, as he was captured and was kidnapped by an English explorer, Thomas Hunt. When Squanto returned home in 1619, he found his entire tribe wiped out by disease. Another Native American, Samoset, was actually the first to approach the new settlers and greet them in English, saying, "Welcome, Englishmen." He met them on March 16th, 1621, and after the initial greeting, do you know what the first thing was that he asked for? A man after my own heart. He asked for beer. He came and went, creating a cohesive environment of friendship and trading, and brought Squanto with him, as Squanto spoke better English. Squanto lived with the Pilgrims for approximately 20 months and helped them as an interpreter, guide, and advisor. Along with other Native Americans, taught them to cultivate corn. The knowledge that he gave to the Pilgrims was immeasurable, as this helped them to survive and start their new world here in North America. The very first Thanksgiving celebrated in this new home could not be pinned to a particular date, but rather a time span. Historians say that between September 21st and November 11th, 1621 is probably when it took place. More than likely around September 29th. It celebrated the first successful harvest after all of the knowledge passed from the Native Americans to the new settlers. It was a grand celebration that lasted 3 days. All in all, 50 of the surviving Pilgrims and 90 Native Americans took part in the festivities. 4 women who had survived the first harsh winter were the cooks, and their names are in the history books: Eleanor Billington, Elizabeth Hopkins, Mary Brewster, and Susanna White, to be exact. Now, it wasn't a black tie affair with invitations and the like. It was actually probably something that happened by accident. Well, at least the two groups getting together as one, anyways. The Pilgrims put together this big feast, and they were very enthusiastic with all the harvest they had. The males in the group set off some celebratory gunfire, and the natives had to investigate, as they thought there might be a war looming. They went to check out what was going on and saw the big feast upon them, and were warmly welcomed to join. They gathered their own foods quickly and joined the feast, hence the first Thanksgiving. And you thought it was going to be a big to-do with invites and the like, didn't you? Just like coins in their history, this account of the first Thanksgiving is contested as well. It's an ongoing debate amongst the settlers of North America. However, this take on the first Thanksgiving holds the most merit. Fast forward to March 23, 1920, where a bill was introduced to the House of Representatives by Massachusetts Joseph Walsh for the Pilgrim Tercentenary half-dollar. The House immediately referred the introduction to the Committee on Coinage, Weights and Measures. They set up a hearing on the bill on March 26, 1920. Wow, that was fast, especially for something running through the government. Faster than any of the other stories we've heard about here on the Coin Club podcast, right? This one actually moves with lightning speed compared to most things we've covered here. Although this was a pressing issue at the time, there was another commem in the making, the Alabama Centennial half-dollar, and it took precedence over the Tercentenary half-dollar. Although it was favored to go ahead with both designs, there was some reluctancy that if they did this, it would promote fraudsters to take advantage of the situation. Even though the bill for the Alabama design designated only 100,000 pieces to be made, the committee recommended that there be a commemorative stamp, but Walsh had other plans. He wanted a commemorative coin like that in the World Columbian Exposition of 1893. Walsh wanted 500,000 pieces as the event was more monumental than that of Alabama. He even went as far as to say that due to the great interest in the event, all of the mint should strike the coin, Philly, Denver, and San Fran. The committee brought the total number to 300,000, and Walsh agreed. That's not it, folks, not for a long shot. There's always debate, always. There was 3 coins being debated on the floor at this point in time. The Maine Centennial, the Alabama Centennial, and the Pilgrim Tercentenary, each in that order. When it got to the Pilgrim Commem, the debate took off. The majority of the debate was on if we should be having 3 commems being produced at the same time. The date was April 21st, 1920. Again, lightning speed for coinage passing through legislation. Questions were raised on the original 500,000 mintage, much more than the coins commemorating the states, and Walsh fired back that it was because this was their 300th anniversary, not just the 100th anniversary that it was for the states. Representative John Franklin Miller of Washington asked Walsh if this coin was commemorating the original landing at Provincetown or the subsequent landing at Plymouth. Walsh tried to answer the question but did not give a definitive answer. Another question was raised by Congressman James W. Dunbar of Indiana. He wanted to know who would cover the out-of-pocket costs for the mint since the price of silver was skyrocketing. The answer to that question, Massachusetts would. The state stepped up. The last point of contention was the mintage numbers. Why the original 500,000 mintage request was being lowered to 300,000. It was a typographical error. Walsh told the committee that he requested the original mintage numbers because this date was more important than the other 2. Again, repeating himself. After the back and forth debate, the bill passed without any opposition being on the official record. The bill was passed to the Senate on April 28th. It was reported that it had passed briefly. There was a scuffle from Senator Reed Smoot of Utah based on an anti-dumping trade bill that went by the wayside, and on May 12, 1920, President Woodrow Wilson enacted the Pilgrim Bill with his signature. The coin was modeled off of a sketch from the commission by a Boston sculptor, Cyrus E. Dallin, who was most famous for his works with Native American designs. The rush was on, and commission pushed it through to sculptor James Earl Fraser. Fraser said that the lettering on the commission was crude, but he wrote and said that there was no opportunity to make changes because of the haste of the whole process. He requested that in the future there needs to be at least 3 months for consideration of designs going forward to allow for changes to anything like this in the future. The Treasury approved the designs despite the objection. If you're familiar with the coin, you already know this. The obverse of the coin features William Bradford wearing a hat and a Bible under his arm. The reverse of the coin depicts the Mayflower under full sail. It is a triangular flying jib, which, pointed out by many numismatic historians, is not the type of sail that would have been used by the Mayflower at that time. The Philadelphia Mint coined 200,112 half dollars, which were shipped to the Bank of Boston and sold for $1 each to the public. Profits went to the Tercentenary Commission. The sales were hot on these, and the Tercentenary Commission ordered 100,000 more coins during 1921. They were minted in July, along with another 53 pieces that were held for the Assay Commission to inspect in 1922. The year was added on the obverse to the left of the Bradford to comply with the Coinage Act of 1873, which stated that the year of striking be noted on all coins. Although at the time the mintage was thought to be large, the sales actually waned, and the 1920 issue, 48,000 of those, were returned to the mint, and 80,000 of the 1921 as well. To date, the Blue Book shows a mintage of 152,112 for the 1920 date, and for 1921, only 20,053. So, friends, when you're sitting down stuffing your face with turkey and filling with the works, be sure to share with your loved ones the story of the Tercentenary Pilgrim half dollar. And while you're at it, let them know about the podcast. I'm sure they'll enjoy it as much as you do. I really wish that you have a great Thanksgiving with your loved ones that are close at hand. Be truly thankful for everything that you have, as nothing is promised, and really each day is a gift. Regardless of what religion you believe in, or even if you believe in none, be the good in the world that we so truly need right now. Do what you can, where you can, and whenever you can. Help those in need and be a positive impact on humanity. We all, without doubt or financial status, have the ability to affect the life of those in need and must take it upon ourselves to do so. It is a season of giving, and I hope you started out right, as we should each and every day of the year. Well, folks, that's a wrap for this episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to have you along with me on the next episode of the Coin Club Podcast. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Coin Club Podcast. I had a great time with you and look forward to sharing with you on the next episode. Please follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook at the 7 House Coins Currency Bullion and also on Instagram at the Coin Club Podcast. You can also go to my website, www.7houseccb.com, and give me some feedback on this episode or some suggestions on what you would like to see on future episodes. As always, I'm grateful to all of you for your support and look forward to seeing you the next time on the Coin Club Podcast.